is Nancy at Notions. I bring you our fourth vendor from our Notions Commotion event. Again, our Notions Commotion event was our retailer training by our vendors and their designers. Our designer and kind of, you like make your own stuff and you're a designer. Yeah. So this is Ken Oliver, if you didn't know. He's going to show us some of the things that he taught at the Notions Commotion event and using some of the Crafters Workshop new stencils, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, what can you do?
Nancy, I'm so excited about this project. The project we're doing tonight is called Unmixing the Mystery of Mixed Media.
All right, that's
because
a cool
sometimes
title.
it gets so confusing. There's so many steps and so many things to do, and even I can watch a video sometimes and feel really, really intimidated by it. But the thing to remember is that mixed media means one thing. It means the combination of one or more mediums.
Yeah, pretty much anything goes.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, you can't break it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've developed a project that is this, Unmixing the
cool.
Mystery of Mixed Media, and we use light and fluffy modeling paste from the Crafters Workshop, and I went ahead and I prepared one of my mixed media boards. I think you can see on that I've already prepared the board by putting this light and fluffy modeling paste through a stencil with a stencil knife. Really fun technique to teach your customers in your store because it's probably something they haven't used before. And always try to make sure that you use a palette knife because this palette knife will really let you get a nice even coat of modeling paste on your surface.
And the light and fluffy is a really nice even coat. I mean, it's not thick and chunky.
Right.
It's really smooth and...
It's great for mixed media projects because it is so light, and it's great for using in the store because it dries really quickly.
Oh, good.
The surface we're working on is one of my mixed media boards. It's actually a 12 by 12 dense matte board that has watercolor paper on the front of it. And it's dense enough that it doesn't warp whenever it gets wet. So it's a really wonderful surface to use for all kinds of mixed media projects. And we also have those in 6x6. So to get this started, I went ahead and I applied a layer of the light and fluffy modeling paste through the stencil with my palette knife, and I let that dry. That's the first step. The second step is going to be to use liquid watercolor to color this, to paint it. And our liquid watercolors are new. The thing that you're going to love about the liquid watercolors, they have the same brilliant color palette as our Color Burst product, but now it's in a liquid, so it's really simple to use. And the other thing, our colors are really saturated and bright and pure, and they stay really bright even when they're dry.
Okay.
So I'm going to color this real quick, or really paint it with liquid watercolors.
So there's 6 in a package.
There are 6 in a
all of the
set.
necessary colors you would ever need.
This
I
is
imagine
actually-
you could mix them too?
This is actually, of course, this is our bright set, and this includes your primary colors, alizarin crimson, lemon yellow, and ultramarine blue, and your secondary colors, violet, phthalo green, and orange. So this is a really good universal set. But we have altogether 4 sets, so there are lots of beautiful color combinations to choose from. So I'm going to do this really fast so we can keep the video moving. I'm going to just put a little bit of liquid watercolor right directly on my board, and then with a wet paintbrush, just move that around. See how beautiful those colors are?
Yeah, that's a lot of color. There's a lot of pigment
It
in there.
is. Whenever I developed our liquid watercolor, one of my objectives or my goals was to make sure that the colors were really brilliant and that they stayed brilliant whenever they dry. I've used a variety of liquid watercolors in the past, and you put down a layer, and whenever it dries, it looks kind of like a shadow of its former self whenever it was wet. So I really wanted to have a brilliant palette that stayed true to its color whenever it dried. See how beautifully they blend? And they blend with water. They're just, so nice to use.
And now you can really see the light and fluffy that was in the stencil. It gives it all that dimension.
And I'm going to come here with some orange. Orange and red make a great combination. They're analogous colors. So because of that, they're going to be harmonious when you blend them and when you use them together.
Look at that. We're learning a craft and all about color theory all at the same time.
I really love to talk about color theory. Color theory is my jam.
Yeah, some people are afraid of it, so any information you can give them on color theory
But see
is
how
always a good thing.
beautifully those two colors blend
Yes.
together? Analogous colors are beside each other on the color wheel. And your color compositions will almost always be harmonious whenever you use analogous color palettes. I'm going to grab a little water to show you like how easily a little water will blend that out. See how nice that is?
Yes, and I like the different, you got different depth. Some of it's a little lighter and a little darker, and it looks like nature.
That gives us a lot of visual interest in our piece. And I think I want to paint in here with some lemon yellow. Oops. And our lemon yellow is just brilliant. I want to make sure that I have a really clean brush whenever I go into that lemon yellow. Look how brilliant that color is. Isn't that yummy? And I picked up a little bit of my orange. See that?
And again, you can really see now the stencil. Now, why did you do that light and fluffy? Because now look what you get.
And I did it for another reason. At the end, we're going to put a layer of black modeling paste through the stencil. And this actually builds up that stencil design, so it's almost like bas relief, or that it's been sculpted into the board. Gotcha. It's almost sculptural. You see, I'm just blending that color out by using a little water.
I'm also kind of surprised that the modeling paste doesn't soak it up faster, so it wouldn't even let you. That it's letting you blend it with water, that it's not soaking it up so fast that you're not able to blend it. You are able to blend it.
Absolutely. I'll put a little phthalo green in here. Phthalo green will be really pretty beside that orange and beside that yellow.
So with the other color palettes available in your watercolors, they could do the same idea. It would just be those 6 colors which would all go together.
They all work beautifully together.
Okay.
In fact, in the class, we split up the color palettes or the color sets so that everybody's working with different colors. Ooh. So you get to see them all in the class. And this will take me just a few minutes to paint all the colors around, but it'll also give you the opportunity to see each of the colors. I'll put some beautiful blue right here. Put some blue here and some blue here. One thing that I just did, I put a speck of blue here, here, and here, kind of in a triangle. And that's going to focus my eye and keep my composition kind of like, focus right in on these bright colors in the middle.
All right, so a little darker on the outside, and then it's also in threes.
Yeah, well, but what I did was I just put a triangle around the outside to keep my focus in and draw your eye around.
Okay.
And I mean, you could do it with a lighter color too, just make your color choices as you're working. I'm really excited about Notions Commotion. This is the first time I think that you guys have ever done the event.
It's our very first.
And thank you so much for asking me. I'm just honored and thrilled to be here.
We're hoping it'll be a first annual, and we'll keep it going for a long, long time.
Can I come back next year?
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Okay, I better, yeah. All right, we're going to write you down. We're going to ink you in instead of just penciling you in, okay?
Now, I'm in a little bit of a tricky spot here because orange and blue are complementary colors. And if I get those two close together or two blended, we'll get some browns. But I stopped myself.
You did good. Fine watercolor painting you are. Actually, it's kind of cool, too, because this is not like some watercolor painting that you have to be all specific about. You're just adding the circles of colors around the flowers.
What I like about a project like this, especially if you're a retailer, a lot of people haven't used liquid watercolor before, and they might be a little bit hesitant about what to do or how to use it. And this class will let you show them in a very non-threatening way ways to use liquid watercolor that are easy and fun. A little more blue right over here. Now, this is what I call the ugly stage of my painting because it looks kind of weird, right?
I don't know, weird, but it's not,
It doesn't
you can
have
tell
a
it's
lot,
halfway done.
It doesn't have a lot of definition. I call it the ugly stage because every painting kind of goes through an ugly phase.
As opposed to halfway done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me come back up here with some violet. I think that'll really make this pop. Put a little bit of violet down here.
All right, that's my favorite color.
Oh, I love violet. It's so rich and deep. And this is a project that you can do with a lot of different stencils from the Crafters Workshop. This, what I'm using now is, I'm just going to hold it up real quick and show you again. It's Floral Spectacle. But there are all of the stencils from the Crafters Workshop would lend themselves well to this technique.
I actually did ask Jamie from Crafters Workshop about that one, and it is one of the Art by Marlene designs.
I love her stencils.
Yeah, very cool. She does things with mermaids.
She does. She has a lot of mermaids. She has a lot of really beautiful designs.
All right, so it kind of sort of looks done.
It's
but
coming
it's
together.
Not.
So I'm going to let this dry for a second.
Okay.
And before we put modeling paste on the top of it, and I will go back and kind of hit some areas here. I didn't really want to bring violet there, but that's okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is put black modeling paste on the top of this. And what that's going to let us do is play with negative and positive space. Because really what we've done in this step is we've colored all the negative space. Mm-hmm. And the black modeling paste will actually be the positive space of our design.
All right.
So that's another really great thing that you can talk to your customers about and to the people who take your classes is positive and negative space. Because that's something that you hear every now and then, and it can be kind of threatening or intimidating really to, like, if you're not sure what that means, it can be a little bit daunting.
Yeah. So in mixed media is a way to take, I mean, it's an art lesson and you don't have to be all specific and
Right.
stuff. I would like to be a fancy watercolor artist, but I'll never be a fancy watercolor
But when you do this
artist.
project, you are.
I could do this. I so totally could do this.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're gonna let that dry for a bit.
So when you let it dry for a minute,
Okay.
look how cool that is. I love the way that looks, even though this is the ugly face.
Half done face, that's what we'll call it. Now, through the magic of television, it is all dry and we're ready to go to the next step.
But and I wanted to just point out, after we got it dry, look how brilliant the colors are. That's one of the best things about my liquid watercolors is those colors, as they dry, they're going to remain brilliant and pure and very saturated. A lot of other watercolors fade out after they dry, and this is just, it's amazing to use.
Not gonna happen.
So this next step is really fun because we're going to get the stencil back out. And we're going to stencil it again, only this time we're going to put black modeling paste on it. And because we put a layer of light and fluffy modeling paste from the Crafters Workshop down first, our stencil fits back exactly in
That's
place.
pretty cool.
So watch this. And this project has a real wow factor.
Okay.
So when you teach this to your customers in your store,
Be
or if
ready
you do
to
it
be
on your own,
wowed.
yeah, it has a real wow factor because we're going to take black modeling paste and a palette knife and apply this all over the whole surface of this mixed media piece.
And that's a nice chunk of modeling paste there. You're not using just a smidge. You're really getting it down there.
Well, because I should. I mean, I want to use a good amount to get a nice coverage here. And also notice that the way that I'm using my palette knife, I'm putting the edge of the blade. I think this is perpendicular. Is that right?
That sounds
Or is
like a good word.
Or I'll say it flush. I'm putting it flush with the surface of my stencil.
It's like at a 45-degree angle-ish.
And most of your customers will have an idea of how to do this because you can tell them, use a little metaphor. This is like applying a layer of icing to a cake, like your crumb cake, crumb layer, or is that what it's called?
I've heard that people make cakes Yeah, I'm just not one of them, so for me it wouldn't mean anything. But I get what you're saying.
Cake making is a big craft art now.
It is actually. Notions Marketing has tons of cake making supplies, and it's a really big seller. I'm just not a cake maker.
This is just like putting on your crumb layer or your, I think that's what it's called.
This would be the very dark chocolate.
So whenever I start thinking about that and I'm doing this project, my mouth starts to water.
Cake.
So if I drool, please pardon me, because you've got the fat boy thinking about cake.
All right, next time we have Ken come and do a video, we're going to have cake at the end of the video.
So I'm just double checking right now to make sure that I have all of my little negative space areas filled in. And I'm going to go back and remove any excess by just making a long sweep across.
Save it for later.
Now here comes the fun
I was going
part.
to say, is it almost time for the aha moment?
It's the big reveal.
The big reveal.
So I'm going to pick up the corners of my stencil and just lift this up. And look how cool that is.
Goodness. And that was fast. You can have a really quick class
Right.
and do this and end up with something so very fabulous.
The really nice thing about this is when you're finished, you have a sense of accomplishment because you've made a project that you basically could hang on the wall. You could frame this and hang it on the wall, and it looks really spectacular.
Yep, that is really, really cool. All right, so there you have it from Ken Oliver using his mixed media art boards, the liquid watercolor, and then some stencils and paste from the Crafters Workshop. Of course, all of these items are available at Notions Marketing. You can find the supply list for this class. So if you're a retailer, you can have that supply list and you can teach this in your class. Contact your sales rep at Notions Marketing. Now, what about if you're a consumer? Then what do? You call your retail store and say, hey, I just saw this cool video with Ken Oliver and he was doing it, what did you call it? It's not mixed media, it's
Mixed media, unmixing the mystery.
Unmixing the mystery. And then your retailer will be able to get these supplies for you. See you later.
Thank you.